Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest today is the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've been following what's been happening in the Middle East. When you saw the US joining Israel to bomb Iran's main nuclear site, what was your reaction?
No, I wasn't terribly pleased because I think the way forward is only through negotiations. They tried to destroy Iran too many times, and you should never ignore the resilience of the people. Finally, it must be multilateral arrangements, it must be through fair negotiations.
So this was the wrong decision?
Well, I think it doesn't take into account of the resilience and the capacity and the tenacity of the Iranian people. But what we welcome is, of course, the ceasefire.
Western countries, including here in France, are saying Iran has to abandon its nuclear program. Do you think this is a fair demand, or this is asking too much of Iran and it's different from other countries?
What if they want non-proliferation on the understanding that it should not be used as a weapon? Fair, but then it should be consistent. And I think these contradictions, hypocrisy is too real and people don't swallow it anymore. It's not an imperialistic design of colonial period where you can dictate. You have to be fair. No for Iran, yes, but no for Israel. But why these double standards?
You've talked a lot about double standards because of Israel's war in Gaza. Israel says, we do this to destroy Hamas because they attacked us on October 7. Do you believe that this is Israel's real goal in Gaza?
I mean, you must consider people are so idiotic to ignore the fact that thousands of children, babies who are all Hamas operators. I mean, this has been explained far too well and far too strong. And I am very appreciative of the fact even the West, the people have voiced out. And I don't think on this issue that the ruling clique and elites represent the aspirations, sentiments, and the conscience of the majority of the people. In that regard, I think people like us in the far lands and at least see the the growing sentiment based on compassion, humanity is still there in Europe.
After October 7th, you called the Hamas leadership to express support. Why not condemn them for what they've done on October 7th?
No, I support the initiative to reach a ceasefire. I do not support violence, but I cannot accept the fact that the start of the issue or the crisis is October the 7th. I mean, some Western leaders are completely blinded to the atrocities for decades. Why are we silent about all the atrocities happening day and weeks? Lands have been taken. I mean, you the French, you tell us, the spirit of equality, fraternity, for what? You talk about freedom. You understand now why people rise even against the French colonial powers. Now, why do you condone colonialism? Why do you condone, accept the fact that some areas, Arab lands, can be colonized? That I fail to understand. So I think if you want to urge the Hamas or Palestinians to say, look, have this whole spirit of peace, I did. I mean, of course, the Ismahania died in the assassination by Israel, but I did. I met not to provoke and encourage violence. I met to encourage him to try and engage with the Qataris and the Egyptians and the Americans to try and strike a deal. What's wrong with that? But certainly I'm not there as a lackey of some other countries to condemn them and then silent on Israel and allowing Israel to continue with impunity.
Some are saying that obviously you're very critical of Israel because of its war in Gaza, but you're much less vocal about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. You've met with Vladimir Putin several times. Why this double standard? Some people
It's
would
not
say.
double standard. We have expressed our position vis-a-vis the war and in Ukraine, and the fact that the invasion has been condemned, and I make no qualms about it. And I urge President Putin, when I met him, to enter into negotiations.
He's not listening, obviously.
Well, so are the other countries also not listening. I mean, I think what he told me, he's prepared, but don't dictate and don't conspire against him. I said, notwithstanding this, I don't represent anyone. I mean, we come from a different region and a smaller country, but as a friend, I urge him to then seek some sort of an amicable, peaceful resolution of the conflict.
How worried are you about an actual war between the US and China over Taiwan?
No, I'm not that pessimistic, because I think both leaders would want to avoid war. Whatever you may say about President Trump or disagreement, he represents a position, a president of the United States that do not want or encourage wars. And I know for a fact from my engagement with President Xi Jinping in particular, quite a number of times, he has been very firm on the issue of avoiding any sort of violent reaction or offensive against any country.
You just said you had very good relations with China. As many other countries, there is a territorial dispute in the South China Sea. Some countries have been more vocal. Take the example of the Philippines. You have not been so vocal. Does this mean that you're ready to make some concessions, territorial concessions to China, or is it a different tactic that you're using?
I said, I was at Sorbonne in the lecture, this issue was raised. I said, Malaysia is a maritime country. We have border issues with all our neighbors, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Brunei, and Vietnam. But we don't go to war, or it doesn't adversely impact upon our relation. In fact, our relation has been exceptionally great. Because we have small differences here and there, we try and resolve it amicably. So I ask, why take exception against China? We have all these issues, and suddenly you single out China. We have not encountered any serious issues. And in ASEAN, we take a common position. We urge ASEAN as a whole, the countries, including China, to agree on the code of conduct. And the Chinese,
Over 20 years, this has
well,
been.
but the Chinese have responded in Jakarta
Is it
last
going
year.
to happen?
Yes, they said yes, they will look at it. They are supportive, and we proceed from there.
As I said, you're chairing ASEAN this year. There's a big issue on the front burner. It's, of course, Myanmar, where war, I think a civil war, we can describe it this way, is raging between the junta, the opposition group, ethnic groups, and so on. On April 17th, you met with the junta leader, General Min Aung Hlaing, in Bangkok. This was the first time an ASEAN chair met with the coup leader since the coup back in 2021. You said it was constructive. Many thought you were bestowing legitimacy to a murderous regime. Do you regret that decision? Are you still in touch with this general? Are you hoping to meet him again?
Well, I built a consensus. I discussed with all the leaders of ASEAN. Should we talk? Of course, yes. No one disagreed. But the issue then was the need to secure ceasefire so that we have this assistance post-earthquake. And so I came with that mandate. And I went both, and to see both. Now, number one, ceasefire. Of course, there may be one or two skirmishes, but then it was agreed. Number two, humanitarian assistance, transparent, no discrimination. We had our field hospital from the military, from Malaysia, and the field hospital report is to serve all, from the Malaysian junta to the unity government, and for the general people from all regions. So in that sense, we have been reasonably successful, as an important departure or change from the original position, no engagement, no results, killings continue. But at least now, for a month. There have been ceasefire. Yeah, but there have been complaints of one or two, but then not the continued bombings and destruction. So it's my political philosophy is that where you can engage, you engage.
You still engage?
We're still engaging.
You're planning
not
to
easy.
meet again?
I'm hoping to proceed at a different stage. After meeting, I gave this report to my colleagues, ASEAN leaders. Of course, our position is 5-point consensus. There are certain basic rules, parameters that the junta must accept. But before that, there must be ceasefire. Stop the killings.
They want to hold elections this year. Is this a good idea, given the situation?
Well, they decide. That's where I differ with many of these countries, when elections, I don't determine. But
maybe the conditions are not right for elections.
What we conveyed is, okay, have elections. But if there are, fightings, you can't have peaceful elections. Number two, it has to be inclusive. So our position has been clear. I told the Prime Minister, Military Junta General, I said, yes, you decide. My personal view is that, we don't consider that a priority. A priority is peace, development. But he says, well, for legitimacy. I say, fair, but it has to be inclusive. So let us see.
I want to talk a little bit about domestic issues. Anti-corruption probes have been launched into several of your predecessors, including your former mentor. You have a complicated history with Dr. Mahathir. He says that this is not an investigation, that this is a political vendetta, that you're going after him, after his family. What is your response to those serious accusations?
There has been investigations transparently against so many leaders in the province of Sabah, the people who are aligned to us, our coalition members, two of the state assemblymen being charged for corruption. But here are cases where people have amassed billions. It's not a matter of former finance minister or prime minister. It doesn't matter. You explain. How do you get these billions?
He has amassed billion?
The children have declared under oath that they have more than $1 billion. And there are others who have 4 billion. And they must have one lottery every other day to collect that money.
So he's a thief in your eyes?
Well, whether he's a thief or not is for the court to decide. But I think, of course, these people with enormous resources and influence, of course, they can contact the media, the social media, the political parties. That's why you can see, despite the fact that the campaign has been vigorous, has been tough against corruption, we discussed with the French, with the Italians, about the procurement weapons. You know what I said? No agents, no commissions. Go to G2G. But this is unheard of. Because procurement of weapons are the most corrupt manner of people stealing money. And what is our basic principle? Go direct, government to government, and avoid this manner of taking or squandering money through so-called commissions. Now, to me, that's important. We talk about transparency in governance. Now, why is it this matter is being questioned? It does not matter who, but you can explain. Your son has 1 billion, fair. You explain in court. But I think it is my duty to make sure we stop this, and secondly, those funds stolen from the people be returned. We want to improve our schools. We want to help the poor.
He says he reached out to you, but you refused.
Well, you don't blame him. At his age, he's 100. Sometimes he cannot, 100. But in my political philosophy, if people reach out, I never say no.
So he didn't reach out.
No, but okay, if you want to reach out, say, please don't touch my children. I say, I'm not touching your children. They pay back what they took illegally.
Another former Prime Minister, Najib Razak, has been jailed in this major 1MBD scandal. His sentence was halved by royal pardon. You've been accused of asking for that royal pardon because his party supports you in parliament. Is there a deal?
If there is a deal, he should have been released. and not to be kept in prison
Well, half
for another year.
the sentence
All
is
right.
already.
But there's other cases ongoing now, major cases. I mean, if it is true that I want to do it, but if some members of the opposition use this, but they know the issue of pardon in our constitution is not the Prime Minister who recommends, it's the prerogative. Our system is constitutional monarchy. The king acts on the advice of the Prime Minister, except for the ceremonies and the awards and pardon. It's the sole discretion of the king.
So you didn't ask for it?
No, I didn't. But to me, I must say this. He's already in prison. He's facing some other charges. It's not my concern. Okay, but I don't harbor this hatred and continue to demonize him when there are billions being stolen, and the same people who've been complaining about the reduction of sentence on Najib are now defending these crooks who've been squandering billions. I mean, the same members of the opposition. What is this? I'm consistent. You see, the charge is there, is the court to decide. But why protect some of your colleagues who have been stealing billions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for granting us some of your time here in Paris. And thank you all for watching this interview here on France 24.